Back at you with what will be a patio slash shed build. We have our 2x6 forms in because of how off the grade is here. We also have things propping up the 2x6 to get them to almost level. We're getting 3/4 clean stone delivered. We got about 3.5 or 4 yards of it. We're going to be moving it to the backyard, and the way we do it is by wheelbarrow. So we're shoveling our wheelbarrow, we're going to be bringing it to the back, and we're going to be spreading it as needed completely throughout the entirety of our forms. Looks like we'll be adding 3-4 inches in some spots, 2 inches in other spots. We're trying to make this so we have an even 6-inch pour all the way around. It might end up being a 5.5-inch pour because, as you know, 2x6 forms are actually 5.5. Now that we got the stone all back here completely spread, we put our 2x4 12 foot across and we measure to make sure we have the same heights everywhere, and then we check our level, which again, slight pitch. Don't want too much as we'll be building on it, but you want enough that a little bit of water will run. We're using stakes to keep our 2x6 forms in place, so when our pour comes, it will not move. We have completely plumb leveled and square these 2x6s. Now what we're doing is checking our box square, just measuring corner to corner on both sides. That's how you get box square. You can never be too sure. You always want to be precise. After we do that, we're going to be doing our 3, 4, 5 right triangle. What I do for that is I measure 3 foot off one side, 4 foot off the other side, and then my 5 foot goes diagonally across, making the 3, 4, 5 right triangle. Again, just showing you with the tape measure, 3 foot on one side, 4 foot on the other side, and then boom, 65 foot right there. We are perfectly square. Now it's time to pour our concrete, part 2 next. Back with part 2 of the patio slash shed slab. As you can see, we're going to be pouring all the concrete and showing you guys completely how to finish it today. We have short load concrete with 3.5 yards of concrete. We're going to be wheelbarrowing it all the way back using our 2 new Jackson wheelbarrows. It's going to be 6 inches thick, 4,000 PSI concrete, fiber mesh reinforced. It will be my father and I pouring it. We're wheelbarrowing it back. We are using the rake and we are leveling it as we go. We also have a screed. We are tamping it down, jitterbugging it to get all the rocks down, cream to the top. Now here it is completely down and tamped. Now we're getting our 12-foot 2x4 serving as our screed and screeding it all the way down. The purpose of this is making sure that it is flat, getting all the humps and bumps and lumps out. Next, we'll have to take off any overages and put them in the wheelbarrow. Now that our screeding process is done, here you can see the fibers that will fuse together in the mix. Those fibers are fiber mesh, just to show you that yes, it is in the concrete. Got accused of not putting it in by a comment on another video where they said, I'm sure you just say you do and don't do it. No, well, there it is. And here is our bull float. We're going back and forth. We have 2 arms on, which are 10 foot each, so we have our 20-foot reach. Again, this patio is 11 by 11. It will have a pad on, it'll have a shed on top, and since it's 11 by 11, it doesn't need to be expansion joints cut in anywhere. So bull float serves as your magnesium trowel. You do that, you cut in your edges, and then you go back and you bull float around the entirety of the edges. The bull float slash mag trowel, what that does is it helps bring the cream to the top, and it also knocks down the humps, bumps, and lumps, can leave a little bit of lines. You'll get those lines out with your finish trowel. As you can see, that edge left a little bit of the corner out, so we put a little bit more. We pack it down. It doesn't matter, this is not our finished look. We will be going over this with the steel trowel. Now that it has sat and it's got a bit harder, it's time to hit it with our finish trowel or our speed trowel. Again, we have our 2 poles on. We're going over and over this until there is no more lines. Again, there's slight pitch, but we want it to be flat. The goal is to be flat so that we do our broom finish. You won't see any other marks. Here we are with doing it with one hand and videoing with the other just to show you guys a close-up of how it looks. You always want it angled up and angled back so you're not dragging it in and digging up any of your concrete, because then you'll have to add more and fix it back in and it becomes a pain. And then you go around all the edges, the entire perimeter, 360 degrees around with your steel trowel, and wipe out all of any of the markings. You make sure it's completely flat and no lines are left. As you can see here, any little lines the steel trowel leaves, we go back and we rub out. This will be our last bit of hitting it before we do it with the broom. So you want everything knocked down so you don't see anything through the brooms. And there you have it. Now we've got our 2 poles together. We have our 36-inch broom on for our broom finish. These are nylon hairs. Again, we're choosing to push away. So we're starting in the front, pushing all the way to the back, banging it after each one, tapping it and removing it. And now we've done all of it. Next up, it's time to edge. We use our edger 360 degrees around the pad. This shed will have a 6-inch reveal all the way around, so you will see a little bit of the finish and a little bit of the edge. So we're doing this for aesthetic purposes. You want it to look good. People, everything you do, no matter what it is, you want it to leave looking good. Now, obviously, there's a bit of a raise here, so we'll be bringing in soil and getting it up to snuff so that it'll look good once we remove all of our forms. Now, since it's a very hot day, we're going to be watering our concrete to keep it moist so it doesn't set too fast and isn't prone to cracking. That's all we're doing. We're not watering and hoping it grows or anything like that. We're just keeping it moist. We do it probably 4 times before nightfall. Now that it's all set and we have our finished look, we brought our dirt in, we raked it all the way around, and here's our completed look. We're ready for our shed.